Cinemigos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. That's right, so stoked to have you here, and obviously you can just call me Fuego for short if you have ever seen one of these reviews before. And yeah guys, just got back from watching Pixar, Disney's Onward, and leave it to Pixar to make me cry like a little girl with a skinned knee. But I digress from the point. This is the second collaboration between producer Corey Ray and co-writer slash director Dan Scanlon. They had previously done Monsters University, which is actually one of the few Pixar films that I have not personally seen, unfortunately. But yes, I'm not going to take too much of y'all's time, but as per always here on Enfuegotainment, I like to do a little bit of Bueno, Malo, and Feo, and yeah, so I haven't seen the previous collaboration. Monsters Inc. was not one of my personal favorite Pixars, and so yeah, I did not see Monsters U. I thought, cool, prequel, whatever, that's fine. But yes, I know they're trying to do a Disney Plus TV series at some point with original voice actors returning and stuff. That's all well and good, but so this is obviously a much more personal tale from director Dan Scanlon in comparison with the previous one. So the bueno is most definitely just how heartfelt this film is, and especially with reading a little bit about the inception for it. Apparently, director Dan Scanlon lost his father at a very young age, and essentially his older brother was his father to a degree. And this is a theme that this film explores to a very emotional degree, and I must admit, and that's why I mentioned right off the bat, Pixar makes me cry when they do things right. And while it's not as emotional as others that I've seen before, when it does indeed hit it, there is a scene in particular inspired by Dan Scanlon's real life of hearing his father's voice on tape that hits you so hard at the beginning of this film. And then just a little bit of realization, you know, about his relationship with his older brother, raising him and everything. It's here, you know, and that doesn't spoil anything because, you know, another bueno about this film, besides it's the really just heartfelt emotional core, is the fact that it's very fun and it's a buddy road film, and it really mashes together sensibilities from everything from obviously The Lord of the Rings, but the way they modernize this magical society and everything, it had kind of a, and I know it's a Disney animation and not a Pixar animation, it had some Zootopia vibes for me, in just the way you see these creatures you would not expect to be in this well-formed modern society, just engaging with one another and doing just your typical day-to-day jobs and stuff like that. The advent of electricity is especially amusing, and how it modernizes and in fact how technology has made us lazy. There's subtext, there's commentary about society, which Pixar is always really, really good at doing. And so, yeah, but it also throws in some Weekend at Bernie's and even some Indiana Jones and stuff. I mean, it's a well-crafted script that, you know, it hits both of those beats, and the fact that it's appealing to adults with some of its themes, and yet also it's transcendental in how it will appeal to kids. And I guess that is where I could veer into some malo, is the fact that there are some subplot stuff that do feel a little bit kiddie. There is something at this, you know, former, like, very medieval-esque restaurant slash pub, kind of whatever place that has been turned into literally like a Chuck E. Cheese-esque, not even really so much that, like a Peter Piper Pizza meets like a Dave and Buster kind of GameWorks kids zone. I don't even know how the hell I would describe it, but it's stuff like that, along with a little bit of this stuff with these like biker pixies. While amusing, there's also a subplot with the mother and man, I'm trying to even remember what the hell she was. Voiced by Octavia Spencer. And, you know, the voice work is actually very good. That's another bueno that I have to mention. You know, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. The brothers are played by none other than Marvel / Disney alums Tom Holland as the younger brother and Chris Pratt as the older brother. And they're both great, so that's a bueno just to jump back to that. But yeah, the subplot with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Octavia Spencer going after the kids, after they essentially are both adults, with the younger kid Ian's 16th birthday, voiced by Tom Holland, And yes, they have this, like, they are reintroduced to magic, and the fact that their father was intrigued by the history of it gives them this staff. And so that's where the Weekend at Bernie's comes in, because they have half of their father, they have to dress him up and like drag him along with them, like dead body-esque, and it does lead to some legitimate laughs, which is also more bueno. But you know, the malo is that some of it is goofy, not all the laughs hit, and that some of it is just like in the middle of the film is where it does drag pacing-wise just a wee bit. But once we really get revving into our journey and we get to just when it does finally turn into the Lord of the Rings quest type thing, jumping back, that is definitely more bueno. But there are some pacing issues in the middle of the film and some stuff that's just a wee bit too silly and feels just a little bit more for kids than I necessarily wanted. But Ugly and Feo is definitely, once again, how weepy this film made me. And I sometimes spoil stuff here in the Feo, in the Ugly, but don't think I'm going to do that this time. But I will say, there is a choice that this film makes in its script at the very end of it. And first and foremost, yeah, the ugliness of how, like, the final confrontation actually made me feel more on edge than I was anticipating. I was legitimately wondering what was going to happen, and after how goofy a lot of the film was, I felt like dare I say, a bit of genuine dread. I was really wondering what was going to happen. But the part that I initially brought up, where I was really surprised at a choice that they made, is a meeting that you're expecting happening, which is like a big core of the film, doesn't actually happen, and it has such a hefty emotional impact. What ends up happening instead, it floored me. It was such a brave and bold move, and yet it was perfect for just things that are revealed, especially in the third act, as you know, the brothers are bonding more and they're on their quest. And it's so funny how there are things that Ian sets out to do on his birthday, and he's so disappointed that they're not happening, and they end up pretty much happening without spoiling anything. And it's, boy, it just hits you in the feels, to quote my dude Cecil. It genuinely, it got me. Pixar, why must you make me cry? But I love when you make me cry, you know, whether it's WALL-E, whether it's Up, I mean, whether it's Toy Story 3 and 4, you just have this, you can just get me right to the core and twist the knife, damn you. But I love you guys so much nonetheless. But yeah, there's a discussion that doesn't end up happening, and it's seen from a distance, and I was in tears. I was genuinely, like, I wasn't sobbing. I didn't want my lady next to me to see, but and I have had friends, you know, friends and dear loved ones that have lost their fathers, and I know that I can't relate to that because my wonderful father is still around, and you know, I almost lost him, you know, when I was younger to mycoplasma pneumonia, and then I almost lost him when I was a rebellious little asshole and almost killed that relationship. But things have been mended over the years, and it really is a film like this that reminds me how important it is to cherish our parents and to, you know, just appreciate them and not to neglect them and take them for granted. And so that's where I'm going to leave us all at here. So I've been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find Wa on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube, where, yes, here on Enfuegotainment, it's all been lots of Star Wars coverage over the last year or so, including some new stuff for Clone Wars Season 7. Disney Plus is all the rage, Mando, all that stuff. Reviews for all that is on this channel, as well as lots of Marvel Disney stuff, but also lots of cool indie dramas, comedies, things of that nature. The Gentleman is one of my favorite films of the year, and there's a review of that on here. But yes, most know me from the Spooktacular coverage, so yes, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. That is where, yeah, we do at least one episode a day, sometimes two if we're being really daring. Trailer reactions, film reviews, unboxings, let's plays, all kinds of cool stuff. And then lastly, every Monday evening, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, PM, yes, it's in the evening, it's a live show, and Willis Greedy at YouTube channel, Show Business with Chauncey K. Robertson, Lindsay from My Two Cents of Nonsense, Lindsay Mimsy, as I so affectionately call him, and CP. We break down weekend box office numbers, make some predictions about the weekend ahead, and talk about the biggest entertainment news stories. So So I've been Fuego. Y'all have been awesome as always. And until the reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, cinemigos. But I'm hopeful that we get to share more of this palaver sooner rather than later. If they're around, give your folks a hug.